Yeah, we in there. A minute late, 2 minutes late. But listen. I'm not on y'all time, man. I'm not really on y'all time like that. I'm just getting over another cold. I'm just getting over the fact that the Brooklyn Nets are cooked and they fired the coach too late. But hey, better late than never. Better late than never. Somebody did something. We were calling for somebody to do something because the shit wasn't right. So today is a joyous day. Now we don't celebrate a man losing his job ever, but we celebrate somebody in the organization waking up, somebody actually hearing something from the players, from the fans, and saying, this ain't right. Something's got to change. And the first thing you change is to fire the guy leading the way, the head coach, to me, who seemed too comfortable at times, to me, who seemed complacent at times. Man, you fired a head coach yesterday, last week, last month, and last episode, I don't even know when it was, but we got CJ Holmes with us today. Shout out to CJ for joining us. CJ is the senior writer covering the Nets for the New York Daily News. Obviously, the boy Alex produces the show with me and been co-hosting the show with me. And before we get into it, let's go ahead and drop the intro. Talking Nets, episode 229. Jacque Vaughn gone. Kevin Ollie on. Let's get it.
We're doing that Brooklyn Nets talk right here on Talking Nets. Brooklyn, we go hard. We go hard. Talking Nets. Hosted by Keith McPherson.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to Talking Nets 229. It's time. It's time. You know what? Like, how geeked up can you get over a Dennis Schroeder trade? How geeked up can you get over Ben Simmons' return? How geeked up can you get over, you know what I'm saying? Like the little other things that happened this year. Lonnie Walker is back. Mikal Bridges goes off for 30, or Cam Thomas. Like, this season has been trash, but at least we feel like there's a chance for them to move in the right direction. Let's welcome everybody in. What's up, everybody in the chat? Let me make sure I retweet this on Twitter, try and give us some added eyes and ears, and let's bring the Nets world together one time. I know the news hit yesterday, but now you've had some time to process it. I want to hear from everybody. I want to hear how y'all feel. I want to hear what y'all are thinking. Is this great? I mean, is this good? Is it great? I know it's not bad. So I've said enough. Let's pass the rock and welcome in CJ Holmes. What's up, CJ? You got it?
What's up? What's going on, y'all?
The chat says, what's up? Let's see. Early in the chat, Greg Stat, boom. I was so right that the Nets will be firing JV after the All-Star break. The break ain't even over. And I was right that Kevin Ollie will become the interim head coach for the rest of the season. Yo, the funny thing is, too, like, the writing was on the wall. Like, nobody's surprised by this, right? This wasn't something that came across your timeline, Woj bomb, and you were like, they fired Jacque Vaughn, and then 5 hours later named Kevin Ollie the interim. I'll be damn. Nobody was shocked about that. All of this was stuff that Nets fans have been saying for weeks, right? I remember there was one game specifically where Dennis Smith Jr. was giving props to Kevin Ollie. So I've seen multiple players give nods to Kevin Ollie, and I've also seen static with players and the head coach, from Cam Thomas to Mikal Bridges, and I know Mikal Bridges says something. Alex, how you feeling about everything? How you feeling in general? I know I was a little sick. I'm still a little congested. I saw you at WFAN last night. You said you weren't feeling that great, but thanks for pulling up. I guess you're championing it out.
Yeah, I think I just needed a good night's sleep. So I'm feeling up for it. But I think this was the news yesterday was a good excuse to jump on. Yeah, I mean, look, I actually was surprised from the news. I didn't think the Nets had it in them to do it in the middle of the season, just because I believe they're still paying Steve Nash his contract. So I actually thought they were going to wait until the end of the season, just because the season's cooked. So I just thought they would just ride it out. Jacque Vaughn, I think, lost the locker room in that Bucks game where he just tanked the game, I guess. and it just didn't really make sense. He played his players, and then they just rested the rest of the game. I don't know why that happened, but it just felt like there was a few players that had lost the locker room. And Shams talked about it. Spencer Dinwiddie, Mikal Bridges. Obviously, Dinwiddie's not with the team anymore, but I'm glad that Mikal Bridges is speaking up on this. And he said it after the game against the Celtics. And funny enough, it was almost to the day that we gave Jacque Vaughn the contract extension. And I remember also last year, almost to the day, we lost the Celtics by 50 last year too. And then the next day, Kyrie requests a trade. So last year, we lost the Celtics by 50. Kyrie requests a trade. This year, we lose to Celtics by 50 before the All-Star break, and Jacque Vaughn gets fired. I wonder what happens next year. So, yeah, I mean, it's again, you said it. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I never celebrate a guy losing their job, but this was the right decision. Kevin Ollie can ride the ship, but I think there needs to be a significant coaching search starting now until the rest of the beginning of next season.
Yep.
So I just hope that we can make the right decision. I mean, we'll talk about any possible candidates, but yeah, I mean, the one thing before I pass it on to CJ, the one thing I do know that is cemented now with Jacque Vaughn gone, Mikal Bridges is 100% staying. A lot of Nets fans thought that these reports saying Mikal Bridges is going to be, we're going to build around him as a piece of the team. A lot of people thought it was a lot of the like KD stuff where Woj kept saying KD won't leave, and then he leaves it eventually. So now it's like 100% confirmed he's staying because the front office listened to him. But I'm glad that he stepped up and said that Jacque Vaughn isn't the coach to take this team forward.
Woo! It's been a been a crazy last 24 or 48 hours, and I'm hopping on the pile of a couple of unpopular opinions maybe, but I want to start by saying that I do think that Jacque Vaughn, at one point did have this locker room. I do think that Jacque Vaughn is a class act. I mean, just from a reporter standpoint, me, Evan, Brian, Lucas, Slater. I mean, he's been nothing but kind to all of us. And, that's in the press conferences, walking around the facility. If you catch him around the Barclays Center, Jacque Vaughn's always been a class act. And, I know that's rubbed a lot of fans the wrong way. It did give off a sense of complacency at times, it did lead to him sometimes maybe saying the wrong things. But I do think that Jacque Vaughn always had good intentions, not only, for the people around him, but, for his players in the front office. And like I said, it's never great. The fans out there who are celebrating a man losing his job, I mean, that's not the way to go about this. But I do think it was time for the Nets to go in a different direction because he did lose the locker room, and it was pretty clear. A lot of people point to that Bucks game, but let me say this too. There was a lot of stuff in this whole situation that was out of Jacque's control. Jacque didn't probably, despite Ben Simmons' history, I know we said we wasn't going to talk about Ben Simmons, but, despite Ben Simmons' history, how could he have anticipated the dude missing 38 games this year because of a pinched nerve in his lower back, right? That's something he can't control.
Shit, I anticipated that. I knew.
I would say all of the top 9 guys, except for Mikal Bridges, who's appeared in every game this season, have missed significant times. Has missed significant time at one point or another this season. With Day'Ron Sharpe and Cam Johnson being the 2 latest ones. I mean, that's what led to a lot of the inconsistent lineups, the musical chairs starting lineups. This wasn't the roster that Jacque thought he'd be coaching for the next 3-4 years anyway. This man thought he'd be coaching Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant with a host of complimentary role players around them. Dude thought he'd be playing for championships. That situation fell apart to no fault of his own, from what I understand. That had nothing to do with Jacque. That had everything to do with, Sean Marks, front office stuff, front office drama. You know what I'm saying? And even KD said himself, it's either Sean or me. They chose Sean. I haven't been here long enough to have a great relationship with Sean, but, some of these patterns are starting to take hold. And I think it would be unfair for the fan base to, make Jacque Vaughn the scapegoat. Even that December 27th game against the Bucks, it was heavily implied that was a front office decision above his head. Could he have fought more? Have his guys out there if that's what he wanted, that's what they wanted, maybe, right? But it was heavily implied that was a decision above his head. So if that's the case, then why is he getting all the heat, right?
And Jacque Vaughn didn't have to pay that $100,000 fine either.
So then let's get into the negatives, right? Things that fans are frustrated with, some of the late game decisions, the inconsistent lineups, not having these guys like ready to play some nights, right? That is on him. What was working through those first 30 games of the year, they were 15-15 in early December, somewhere around there. They were doing a lot of good things. Jacque had these boys moving the ball. They were knocking down threes. There is no clear number. I agree with that. You don't lose by 50 and keep your job, right? I agree with that. But I'm just saying you got to give the man some benefit of the doubt. He inherited a Frankenstein's monster of a roster, that was stitched together after the trades of those 3 stars, right? And the pieces that were bought back into the organization were some quality pieces, right? But to sit here and say that they fit together seamlessly is just simply not true, right? And early in the season, the free-for-all approach that players reportedly aren't down with now, that's what was winning them games. They were moving the ball. They were knocking down threes. They were riding the hot hand. They weren't an elite defensive team by any stretch of the imagination, but it was good enough. The effort was good enough to win games. When things went downhill is when, in order to overachieve as a team in the NBA, there has to be a certain level of effort and energy and buy-in on every single night. That same effort and energy that you saw over, post All-Star break last season when Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson first joined the team. I mean, them dudes were playing out of their minds, putting up career numbers. Everybody was feeling the vibes. Everyone wanted to play hard for Jacque. But, like we said, though, at some point this season, he lost the locker room, right? And the front office knew that they still want to get this team into the postseason somehow, right? And they knew that would not be possible with Jacque Vaughn at the helm, which in turn led to his dismissal.
Well said. Obviously, you guys can tell that CJ is literally in the building at the games, covering the games. You hear his voice. You hear him asking questions to Jacque Vaughn after the games. I'm on the radio after the game, so I'm always waiting. Like, one of my cues is like, okay, when they get Jacque Vaughn on the panel, that means I'm on in like 15 minutes. So I'm always locked in on that. And, even in the last game, he said something about like, oh, these guys hadn't played together. Cam Johnson hadn't played with Day'Ron Sharp or Dennis Schroeder or whatever. He was just making excuses. It's like, nah, they got smoked. It was the second half of a back-to-back. These guys did not want to go up there and play. And it's always the Celtics, right? It's always the Celtics with us. It's funny because, man, just in this short amount of time looking at the coaches, I had the thought, remember right before Kenny Atkinson got canned, he went up to Boston and beat the Celtics with Vert and Chioza. And I think he had one more game maybe against Memphis, and Memphis always would have our number, and then they fired Kenny Atkinson. But when you look at this, folks, shout out to Pooch. I got to get Pooch back on the pod. Pooch, if you out there, holla at me, bro.
I see Nets continuity.
Exactly. The Nets will now look for its 7th head coach since moving to Brooklyn in 2012. Avery Johnson. Like, to think that Avery Johnson has one of the longer tenures, like that little Beetleborg. Jason Kidd, 1 season. Lionel Hollins, I couldn't wait for him to get him up out of here. 1.5 seasons. Kenny Atkinson was the one. 3.5 seasons, and they showed him the door after he won games. And then incoming, they didn't put in there that the interim coach after Kenny Atkinson was Jacque Vaughn, right? Jacque Vaughn ended up taking us to the bubble. And then they put Steve Nash in there thinking that he would earn the respect of KD and Kyrie. Nah, they like, nah, it's just not like that. And then Jacque Vaughn 1.5 seasons, and they gave him an extension for years. And they had to backtrack on that. So my next question for the chat, and we'll go to the chat to see what y'all are talking about, because this is a mess. Consistency is key. You just heard CJ say there's no continuity. Will Sean Marks be fired? Do 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 do. Seeing what you say in the chat. Let's see what people are saying as we're talking. Thanks for pulling up. Make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe. If you're not subscribed at this point, you should be. But let's show some love to the Nets world that always pulls up, no matter if the Nets have KD, Kyrie, Steve Nash, or the Nets have Kevin Ali, Dennis Smith Jr., Dorian Finney-Smith. Where was I at in the chat? I seen Asia's in here. Jared said, hi, Asia. Where's Asia at? Asia said, who saw that whack-ass All-Star game?
I ain't gonna lie, that shit was weak, bro.
That shit was corny, bro.
Am I the only one that thought it wasn't that bad? Like I was laughing.
You might not be the only one, but did you watch that whole game? I couldn't watch the whole game.
I stopped after the fourth quarter because I had to go into the station. But no, I mean, like, Jokic and Luka not caring at all.
They
and
were
just
clowning.
I love that. I just love that. And then there was like a point where who was it?
Cat.
Halliburton. And then Halliburton,
Giannis early.
In the first quarter. I mean,
LeBron was acting a fool early. I was like, Bron, you're showing your age early. He was looking trash.
Hey, let me ask y'all this though. Is Scotty Barnes that much better than Mikal Bridges?
He has the potential.
I was about to say
he has the potential to be a top 10 player in the NBA.
Yeah, he might be. I don't know if right now, but he might be.
I'm just talking about right now, though.
Yeah, I don't know about right now, but he may project to be better in a year or two.
I think he is, just because we've seen this season how Mikal Bridges, his defensive, like the main reason why I said this to Robin when he was on the show. The main reason why people think Bridges is our best player is because of his defensive abilities. And he hasn't really showed that this season. And, he's known as this two-way 3-and-D guy. But, Scotty Barnes is a legit defensive, lockdown. He can get 1 steal and 1 block per game, whereas Mikal, and he can potentially guard 1 through 5, maybe 1 through 4. But Mikal Bridges, once he gets switched onto a bigger guy, he's pretty skinny, so he will get pushed around sometimes. So I mean, and considering the ages as well. So yeah, I mean, I think I like Scotty Barnes. I always have a soft spot for the Raptors, so maybe that's just me.
I think Scotty Barnes is going to be a star. I know his coach came out and said that. I like what they're doing up there in Toronto. And then also it's about representation. They don't want the bum-ass Nets represented. They want Scotty Barnes and We Are the North and Toronto and Canada represented. Remember, the NBA wants to be a global game so bad. They want to represent, outside of the American players. But, Celebrity All-Stars I didn't watch. I didn't watch the skills competition. I did see Sabrina lose to Steph. Obviously, that was going to happen. I heard what Kenny the Jet Smith said about Caitlin Clark, I think. Or no, what he said about Sabrina, and then he added something about Caitlin Clark. I'm like, the Caitlin Clark hype is OD. They're talking about putting her in the contest next year. Dame obviously wins the 3-point contest.
I was saying Caitlin a bucket, though, bro.
No, she's crazy. The way she plays, like if she can continue to do that in the WNBA, she's Steph.
I'll tell you this though, everyone's like, "Oh, that record is gonna be untouchable." I mean, if Juju stay in school,
yeah.
I mean, she putting up like 30 a game right now.
Yeah, you just hear that story about how they were trying to they called to kick her out of the gym. She was in the gym getting shots up. She's like that Mamba mentality, but yeah, with Caitlin Clark, I was laughing because Antonio Brown says she looked like Mel Gibson.
Damn. Yeah.
Yeah, my boy Micah Parsons, He was eating. The lion always hungry. He had no love for Kai Cenat. Kai Cenat about a whole 4'8". He wasn't getting the rock. Mikal Bridges is a role player, and we're building around him. Yeah, speaking of that, here's a report that came out. Let's see if I can move us around. Sorry, Alex. Report: the Nets plan to rebuild their roster around Mikal Bridges this offseason. Face of the franchise. All right, I'm gonna say this right now. Like, I get it that like KD was the face of the franchise. So when you made that trade, you got back Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, and Bridges is clearly the better player than Cam Johnson. You paid Cam Johnson because that's his man's. That's twinning them. But like, yo, the fact that they passed on these first round picks, the fact that they are literally building around Brooklyn Bridges, and I get it because you know what? He's a nice, quiet, humble guy. He's an Iron Man that plays every day. He's the opposite of what we had, right? You can count on him. He's going to be out there. But man, I'm going to say that to say this. Like this guy, if you watch this podcast, bro, if you listen to this podcast, bro, basically with the roommates, Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, they talked about the atmosphere in Brooklyn. This dude sounds like he's sad. This dude sounds like he does not really want to be here. His boys are playing in the garden across the river, and he's sad about the fact that Jalen Brunson is getting a louder ovation after his three-point shot than he got off a tougher three-point shot. Yo, newsflash for you, bro. The Knicks been here since the 1940s. The Brooklyn Nets used to be the New York Nets, the New York Americans, the New Jersey Nets. They done played in 5 different spots just in New Jersey, Long Island, Teaneck, East Rutherford, Newark, and now Brooklyn. So when you move a team around like that, it hurts the fan base. When you move a team like that, it weakens your franchise because there's no consistency. I already showed y'all this. This is exactly what I'm talking about. There's no consistency. There's nothing to hang your hat on. There's nothing with the Brooklyn Nets that says they planted a flag in the ground and this is who they are. This is who they're going to be. Different owners since they've been in Brooklyn. This GM I put out there for y'all. Yo, is Sean Marks going to be fired? Because I think that question is actually a real question we got to ask ourselves because this shit is a mess. And who created this mess? And who keeps doubling down on this mess? Sean Marks. It used to be in Marks we trust. I said this on the radio last night. He gets passes for 2 reasons. One, this guy got us out of the era, coming out of the like stupid era that we like this. It always goes back to the Celtics. This guy got us out of the era where we had Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Jason Kidd leading those guys. Washed. Failure. But he got us out of that era when they left us for dead and they said, oh, this is going to set their franchise back a decade. Less than a decade, almost half the time, the Nets built back up with their own pieces, their own players, homegrown, couple little acquisitions here and there, but they became a fun destination that attracted the second thing that Sean Marks gets credit for. It attracted Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, so much so that they wanted to team up and come here. But you got to know when you sell your soul to these superstars, they own you. They own the team. And now you're a cautionary tale of what not to do. When you give the superstars the power, you can't play tug of war with them. You can't go back and forth with them. The owner can't come in and support the GM and the coach. It's their show. It's their team because it's their league. Anybody else? I'll pass the rock, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go back to the clip with Mikal when he went on Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson's podcast. I hate going back into the past. I always hate talking about our previous teams and our previous players. But honestly, even though say what you want about KD and Kyrie, they fought for the Nets. They advertised the Nets. They every time going against the Knicks, they kept hating on the Knicks. KD was like booing the Knicks fans, and every time we played the Nets, the Knicks, when KD or Kyrie played, we won. We did not lose a single game when KD or Kyrie played. There was one game where we lost to them, but neither of them played, so I'm not counting that. in the 1920 season. But Mikal Bridges, he's got to, like I noticed that comment, and he needs to step up. And when I first saw that, I was like, how can this guy, like everyone was commenting, and then he replied actually in a tweet saying, "Have faith." I guess maybe he knew that Jacque Vaughn was going to go, and now maybe it's a lot of like weight off their shoulders. So this is going to be now transitioning into the team now. This is going to be Sean Marks' last chance. I personally, I think he should have been gone a little while ago, but this is officially Sean Marks' last chance if he doesn't want to get fired, and that's with the coaching decision. If he gets the right coach in and he's able to double down and say, okay, I am trading for this all-star level player, everyone's saying, Donovan Mitchell or Trae Young. If we're able to get an all-star level player for next season, move Ben Simmons' contract, and be able to do what he has advocated all season, then he gets a second chance. But if it doesn't work out, then he's got to go. So, and when it comes to the coaching decision, I'll ask you guys a question. Who would you think is the best choice? I mean, honestly wouldn't mind Kenny coming back. I think he's going to be grown as a coach because he was with the Golden State. He won a championship there, so I think he's gotten some experience there. I've seen Evan Roberts talk about Jay Wright. I mean, it would be risky because he's a college guy. So, but at the same time, he's close with Mikal Bridges. I just saw a comment saying Sam Cassell. That wouldn't be a bad. I think that would be a decent hire. And as much as I think he's not a championship level coach, Mike Budenholzer, I mean, I think he's a good enough coach to get you to a certain place. He's kind of like a Tom Thibodeau. I think both are good coaches, but once you get to a certain spot, they have a certain ceiling. So Nets needs to drive Caitlin Clark. I mean, she'd be great.
Yeah, she would have Barclays lit. But Barclays said it would be lit. She'd be letting that shit go.
Yeah, but I just want to ask you guys, what do you think can keep Sean Marks in this job, and who do you think is sort of on the top of the list of the coaching pack, I guess?
CJ, you got it.
Man, Sean needs to get some of these assets back that they lost in some of these deals somehow, some way. Like you said, he needs to just start showing some form of like continuity in a clear direction, because I think a lot of people think the Nets are kind of floating in limbo right now, and that's also the national perception. So, quiet trade deadline for the team outside of Schroeder. He says to free up, space for, future flexibility. He needs to act on that. The Nets need to be aggressive this summer, trying to bring in another star to complement Mikal Bridges. The dude's stretched thin. He's out here playing like a one, and he's not. So they definitely need to get Bridges help in order to keep him happy. And I don't know, man, get some assets back, build. Just kind of in limbo in that sense. But in terms of the coaching, like you said, you got a coach who's won like 45, 50 plus games multiple times in Budenholzer. If you want to go down the dinosaur route, Jay Wright would be an interesting choice. I covered Villanova a couple years back when I was with the Athletic. All those Villanova kids come into the league ready to play for a reason. It's because Jay Wright teaches them how to play the right way, and that translates no matter what level you're on. The dude knows his X's and O's, knows how to coach the game of basketball. I am interested to see what Kevin Ollie does in the interim role. I think he will have, although a lot of people want the Nets to do a full coaching search, and they should. Ollie's a guy who's fought to get back to this kind of point. He's fought to get back to this kind of opportunity. Won a championship at UConn. His reputation was tarnished a little bit with the way things ended with the university. So he's bounced around. He's been in head coaching conversations, over the past couple of years. Different teams around the NBA have been interested in bringing him in. Did some stuff with overtime, Nets scooped them up in just not even a full year. In the Nets organization, he's already made such an impact with his voice and his leadership from everything I've been told. and from players and others around the organization. So I would like to see, how Ollie can rally the troops in a sense down the stretch. And as the Nets do open up their coaching search, if he does prove to do a good job, if he can get this team into the play-in and beyond somehow by the grace of God, right? I would like to see his name, as a candidate for the full-time job.
Yeah, I feel like this. I think Alex already said it. I said this on the radio last night. You can't make another mistake here. Cast a wide net. Be absolutely sure. We haven't mentioned the name Ime Udoka yet, but y'all remember last year they wanted to hire Ime Udoka. That was a real report. That came from somewhere. But with all the nonsense Kyrie brought, it was a shitstorm. They couldn't lump Kyrie's anti-Semitism with Ime Udoka's sex scandal and say, yeah, we're good. That's what we're gonna do here in Brooklyn and New York. So they didn't go that way, and they stuck with Jacque Vaughn, and it's a mess, man. All we're hoping for is consistency. All we're hoping for is something we can hang our hat on, and not all of this changing coaches, changing players, guys in and out of the lineup. And yeah, going back to something you said earlier about Jacque Vaughn, when I actually think about this season and how banged up the players have been, there hasn't been an opportunity for consistency. Even just before the trade deadline, Dorian Finney-Smith was out. I thought he was getting traded. That's why I thought they were holding him out. Lonnie Walker being hurt. Dennis Smith Jr. being in and out. Ben Simmons didn't play for damn near 3 months. And even the fact to think that Jacque Vaughn's system was based around Ben Simmons, and we all know that because we heard Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, and others talking on podcasts about, the things Ben Simmons can do. So clearly they were in camp thinking Ben Simmons is healthy, he's going to stay healthy, and the offense is going to run through him. Spencer Dinwiddie ends up becoming your primary point guard. Like, it was a mess. So what I look at, man, with the Nets is this is an opportunity to start fresh this second half. Let's pull up the Eastern Conference standings just for S's and giggles.
They're right there. They're right there. Like, that's another reason why I was kind of surprised with the Fire. I mean, you got 2.5 games back. Like,
but it's clear, CJ, right? Like, I know you're in there.
It's clear he lost the locker room, but at the same time, with all that, take all of that into account, all the injuries, all the BS.
It's not just his fault. It's not just his fault. But what I'm saying, it's clear.
Games back.
it's clear that these guys were not listening to him. There's pictures of these guys on Nets Twitter. It's like Cam Johnson, like he's drawing up a play, Jacque Vaughn, and they're not even looking, not even paying attention. So it was clear that something had to change. And if they want to salvage this season, which salvaging the season for the Nets is getting in the play and getting the playoffs. The Nets' whole branding was we are playoffs. I remember going to the playoffs in 2015 and the shirts were we are playoffs. And I was like, bruh, what the fuck does this mean? We are playoffs? Like we're beating our chest over making the playoffs. It's not like we get to the Eastern Conference Finals. It's not like we get out of the first round. But whatever, I understood that was a jab at the New York Knicks, who were not playoff bound, who were not making the playoffs. And when the Nets came to town from 2012, 2015, 2018, all these other years that they made the playoffs, they were proud of that. This Nets organization just wants to make the playoffs and have a chance to host playoff games, make a little extra coin, and salvage the season, and they will be proud that they've done that. So when you look at the Eastern Conference standings, obviously you see the Celtics up there, and they just whooped our ass. I'm mad at the NBA. I knew we weren't going to beat them, but I just don't understand this home and home, back to back. Like that shit is just dumb. But whatever. Your Nets are 21-33, not one game, but one spot out of the play-in. And there's a chance that they can make a run at this. There's a chance that, okay, now they don't got to listen to Jacque Vaughn anymore. Maybe they respect Kevin Ollie a little more. Maybe he's got some different rotations, different sets, different adjustments that he makes in the games where we as fans are going to enjoy it because it's going to be new. It's going to be different. And them as players, I hope it makes them compete harder. I hope it re-energizes the team. I'm not afraid of Atlanta Hawks, Chicago Bulls, Orlando Magic, Miami Heat, maybe. But you just want to compete, man. Watching these games has been miserable. Watching them lose has been shitty as hell. And like, it's got to change. So going from that to this, here's the upcoming schedule. Ooh, I'm sorry I included that 50-point L. but they've got the Raptors coming out of the break. And y'all know, right? They're going to play 15 out of the next 19 games on the road. So let me say this. This is time, right? When you go on the road as a team, you're together. You're together all the time for the most part. You're maybe separated in the hotel room, but you're eating together. You're on the bus together. You're on the plane together. You're linking up with the gang. Yo, where are we at? What are we doing? James Harden isn't around. They might not be going to the booty club, but maybe they find a couple booty clubs to go to on an off day or whatever. Maybe they find somewhere to go, low key, little hookah lounge or some pop bottle somewhere in VIP quietly, and they bond. That's what you want to happen on this road trip. That's what you want these guys to do. And coming up here, they have an opportunity. They're going to go to Toronto. Then they're going to go to Minnesota. Then they're going to go to Memphis. Then they're going to go to Orlando. This is a nice little run here to start the second half without Jacque Vaughn, and for these guys to gel and for these guys to develop some kind of pride and identity. Then they'll come home. We'll greet them. They'll face the Hawks. And good. They got the Hawks in this home and home back-to-back, not back-to-back, but it's like this isn't a home and home. This is like because the Hawks don't get home. I don't even know what they call this anymore. This is kind of like a simulated like playoff series, right? Like where you get 2 games back-to-back at home. So the Hawks will play the Nets Thursday, February 29th, and then they'll play again Saturday, March 2nd. Then the Grizzlies come to town. They should handle them. Then we'll see what the Sixers are looking like. The Pistons, that should be a win. The Hornets, they can beat them. The Cavs, can we beat the Cavs for once? It could turn out to be better than we imagine just in this next month. What do you guys got?
I mean, yeah. I mean, you just said it yourself. They have I'm pretty sure they have like the second or third easiest remaining strength of schedule in the NBA. And, I've said this all year. Everyone, the entire fan base has seen what this team can be when they're playing together, when they're locked in, when they're engaged, when they're flying around on both ends of the court. They have good pieces capable of winning games. They've shown that. What has been missing for the last 2 months is the will to do so. So, I mean, when you look at Jacque's firing, I mean, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get a spark out of this group. They're trying to get a rise out of this group. Like you said, get them into the postseason, make some extra coin. They're going to have a chance to do that. They're going to have a chance to do that. If they continue to struggle, if they continue to see this uninspired play at random times and random games, and, I think there's a lot more questions that need to be answered, and a lot of that hopefully will be solved with the head coaching search and a roster shakeup this summer. But the Nets have a chance over these last 28 games to make a statement and show what kind of team that they can be, because to be completely honest, it is completely up to them.
Yeah, I mean, look, we'll see what happens throughout the rest of the season. We'll see, the main thing is what they're going to do with the picks. What are they going to do with the so-called trade for a superstar or for all-star level player to build around Mikal Bridges? It's going to be tough because you can't just always expect a trade a player to be available and the team to not have a high price on that player. So it will be interesting to see what's going to happen throughout this season, throughout next season. And I mean, it is kind of strange how there were so many people that I saw on Twitter and just saw on social media that follow the NBA and said that this was not a great decision to fire Jacque Vaughn. Like Chandler Parsons, like I don't know what he's like, why he said what he said, because he clearly did not do his research. Where he
Chandler
said maybe
Parsons also thought that the Nets had a first round.
Exactly. He said they should tank and we should try and get a high draft pick when we have 0 draft picks this season. So, Keith, you're muted. But what were you saying?
All y'all saw was me doing this. He thought I was shooting at Alex.
Yeah, and then I mean, like, look, I mean, you just have to ride the ship for now. Kevin Ollie, I agree with CJ. I think should be in contention. Should he have a good rest of the season? But at the same time, we've been through this path before. Even in Jacque Vaughn's first time when he was interim, when he a lot of Nets fans wanted him to be the head coach after the bubble. He did a pretty good job with
They got
90%.
swept. Like,
No, because the team that went into the bubble
I know.
was like
They had
no
Justin Anderson on
Dinwiddie.
that team. We had him on Talking Nets.
Yeah, no Dinwiddie, no Joe Harris had to leave in the middle of it because I think
Wasn't
he had
like Noah
family
Vaughn
issues.
on that squad. Jamal Crawford tore his hamstring.
Jamal Crawford played for 5 minutes and then hurt
Joe
himself.
Harris.
Joe Harris was there for half the time. I think the only like legit players that were on the team were Jared Allen for the whole thing. It was Jared Allen and Karis LeVert and Garrett Temple, but then he left next season. So
Chris Chiozza,
yeah. I mean, Dante Hall got in a fight with Giannis.
Dante
And we were called the bubble Nets for a reason. DeAndre Jordan was out, Spencer Dinwiddie was out, Kyrie, KD. All these players, Taurean Prince
we
wasn't
had Tyler
there.
Johnson though.
I like Tyler Johnson. But yeah,
he got so much hype from Nets fans.
Yeah,
Nets
because
fans thought he was
Hey,
a shooter
Tyler got
for real.
busy, though.
because
David
got
Nwaba.
he was
busy,
Sean Marks' guy. Like, we wanted to pay him, but then the Heat paid him a big contract, and I mean that's a whole. I digress. But
We were
look,
banking on Garrett Temple to be a starter for us then. But
Yeah.
so I wasn't shooting at you when I did the. What I
yeah,
was saying was,
what was that?
so the rock your hips dance. I was like, what I was saying was, I don't care what Chandler Parsons has to say about the Nets, and I don't know if he does his research. He came out quickly to say that Ja Morant needs to be better. Why is he still, shooting guns and like air guns? And I'm like, bro, just get some culture awareness. They're in New Orleans. He was doing the rock your hips dance that LSU football players do. Malik Neighbors, who's probably going to be a top 15 pick, he does that dance. And then Juwan Jennings did it in the Super Bowl. So Chandler Parsons had a take where he jumped out there to say Ja Morant hasn't learned. What is he doing? He's still pretending he's a gangster with guns. No, you got to rock your hips. You got to rock your hips. You got to. I know some of y'all might not know what I'm talking about. It's a dance. It's a Southern dance. And he was specifically doing it down there in Louisiana when Memphis beat Louisiana. But whatever. All right. We've got voicemails. We've got questions in the chat in this next 11 minutes as we wrap up. I want to shout out this one because I think that $5 just put us over the $100 threshold for super chats on the year. We rich, Alex. We getting money out here. Appreciate it though, for real. Like $5 is a lot of money to throw in a net super chat. But let's see. I know Asia was showing me big love. Appreciate you, Asia. I'm gonna pull up to Citi Field in Queens one time when the Yankees play this year, and I'm gonna come check you out again. I'll be up there to your section. Shout out to Asia. She works at Citi Field. She hooked me up with some free food and a Gatorade a couple years back. I'm trying to find her chat she put out there. She said, "How is Keith not on ESPN?" Dude, the GOAT. I mean, if they come through, they got to pay me more than $100 that y'all pay me in the super chats. I need the 100 mil. I could take Stephen A. Smith's job today. To this day, I've been hating on Stephen A. Smith. How long until Joe Tsai sells the franchise? He's not. What the real question is, how long until Clara Wu Tsai starts to actually like take over for him? Because she's done a good job with the Liberty. How long till she? Because something that Nets fans have been pointing out, and I thought that this was something that I needed to say on Talking Nets. This is something that we need to speak on. Yo, how come bro was so much on Twitter and out in the forefront when Katie and Kyrie were here? And how come now during this mess, ghost, can't find them? And that goes back to what I'm saying about, you signed these superstars. You got these superstars to come here. But then you always wanted to tug a war. You always wanted to fight with them. You always wanted to go against them. And he used the Twitter platform as his voice. He used the Twitter platform to speak out against Kyrie and speak out and push back against KD. How come you don't got anything to say now when your team looks like bums? How come you don't have anything to say now when the weekend of Christmas, Nets fans show up to see their team play the Milwaukee Bucks, who we hate, and you get fined $100,000 for resting players that you're not allowed to rest? Like, I think that was an important thing. Where has Joe Tsai been in all of this now? Shout out to Joe Tsai's son if you're listening. His son follows us. Not trying to disrespect your family or your dad, but like, I think you know how much we all care about this team and this franchise and how disappointed we are. It's time to get it right. And maybe his wife is better suited for it because they did a good job with the Liberty. The Liberty were in the finals. The Liberty actually built their super team and brought the finals to Barclays Center. That's their arena. That ain't even the Nets arena for real. All right, let's keep pushing ahead. If Keith and Alex is on ESPN, including CJ, they will be the faces along with Jay Williams. Nah, yo, the thing is, people don't like the Nets. They like to hate on the Nets, right? When Katie and Kyrie were here, we were on ESPN all the time because they were rooting for us to fail. Now that they're not there, I saw let me see if I can pull this up. I saw Jay from BK wrote this, and he's spot on. And Jay from BK is one of the smartest Nets fans we have in our fan base. He just be on everything. He's at the games, and then he's online watching everything. He had a tweet about the coverage, and this was spot on. I'm gonna pull this up right now. I don't even be watching ESPN like that for real. But he was talking about NBA Today. I watched the show a little bit. It comes on at 3:00, I believe. And he said this. Let's see if I can put this up there quicker. Go. It's taking forever to upload. There it is. He said in an hour show, NBA Today used 30 seconds talking about Jacque Vaughn being fired in the Nets. Chinny did all the talking. Nobody chimed in at all. Is the organization close to rock bottom in NBA media circles? Yes. They love to talk about KD and Kyrie and James Harden, but now like Ben Simmons is not moving the needle for them. Let's go through the rest of the chat before we play the voicemails. Sorry if we don't get your chat up here. Let's see if there was some any good ones. Trade for Ime Udoka, Adrian Griffin. Ramon says Adrian Griffin, Dwayne Casey. Trade for Ime Udoka. Kenny said no to the Hornets, and they just had passing Kenny no going in. I don't know where that one is. Dan Hurley.
He's saying that. Yeah, Dan Hurley. The reason why I didn't bring up Dan Hurley is because I just don't see him leaving UConn with what he's building over there. But if we somehow get him, like that's my number one option, like by far. But I just don't see it happening. When he said about Kenny and the Hornets, because Kenny was actually supposed to be the head coach of the Hornets, but then he backed out. I don't remember the reason why, but then he just decided to stay.
I was actually covering the Warriors at the time. Yeah, he was supposed to be the Hornets coach, backed out, and the Warriors made him associate head coach.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know. It kind of feels to me like he's trying to wait and see what happens with Steve. Steve Kerr's contract is up after this season, so I think he's trying to see what happens with that before he takes a job somewhere else. Because he can just slide in head coaches of the Warriors, and I mean, wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
T Rexy says Sean Marks should not be allowed to do the head coaching search. 5 coaches in 8 years is pathetic. Fire Sean Marks. That's what I said. Take your time on this one. You got to get this one right with the players that you have and the players that you bring in. There was some rumblings about at the trade deadline, right? Players not wanting to play for Jacque Vaughn and this not being an attractive destination because of the head coach. I mean, I said they fired the head coach too late. Adrian Griffin got fired a month ago. And, I mean, obviously Doc Rivers hasn't had much success. But, like this is the league. You got superstars in Dame and Giannis. If they want somebody out, they're getting them out of there. T-Rexy again, when you throw away a game against the Bucks in December, and he said you got to treat his players like teenagers, it's a wrap for Vaughn. Yeah, there was just a lot of stuff said in the post game that you can't really get jiggy with. Booty club is wild. That's what I call a strip club. There's nothing better than a bro bonding at the booty. Bro, like he meant to say club. No, I'm telling y'all, bro. Like I used to DJ at the strip club. I'd be telling people on the radio, I DJ'd in the strip club off and on age 19 to 26. And if you don't really know the strip club, like I know the strip club in and out, like that is a spot. Like
pause. Sorry.
Pause?
Yeah, sorry, that was bad.
The strip. What's pause about the strip club?
No, you said I know the strip club in and out.
I do know the strip club in and out. I know the business. I know the inner workings. I used to play the music in there. I used to do security in there. I was in there. I was in there when they got to fighting a few times. I've been in there late at night till like 4 or 5 in the morning. I know stuff about the strip club people don't know. Trust me, there's nothing pause about it. I done been around hella strippers. I know a lot about the strippers' lifestyle. I used to drive the strippers home. I used to be in the back with the strippers. They like, hey, Keith, walk me to my car if you're done, make sure I'm straight because there be weirdos outside. I exist differently in different realms. I done live like 8 different lives, yo. Nah, Big Booty Club is right, yo. And honestly, the Booty Club, like where they're going, that's why I showed y'all where they're about to go. The Booty Clubs are like, all right. I don't know about Toronto, but I bet you in Memphis they got some good booty clubs. I don't know about Minnesota, but in Orlando, they got some good booty clubs. So those guys got to go spend the night. You don't got to get drunk in there, right? You just go there, chill with the chicks, get you some wings. Yeah, I really do appreciate Keith and the crew for the content because this season been booty. Facts. That's why we're here. We're here for y'all. We don't make money doing this. We do this for the Nets fans, for the Nets world. Let's see. We're running out of time. I got to get to the voicemails. Let's play the voicemails and then we'll hit the road. Big Fan Breezy, talk to me.
Yo, I had wild fun on the show last week. Shout out to you and Alex. Shout out to the chat. W show. Oh man, they fired Jacque Vaughn. The news keep getting better. Yeah, I'm happy. This is good news. I hope we get Kevin Ollie. He won on a collegiate level. Mikal Bridges won on a collegiate level. It might be some chemistry there somewhere, I see good things. Wilson is a 4-year player out of college. He's showing promise. Shout to Cam Thomas. No, I just did that because it rhymed, but Wilson look like he might get some minutes with this new head coach. I think it's going to be Kevin Ollie. But talk to me, talking Nets, man. What's up? Yeah, I'm probably in the chat.
I'm laughing at everybody in the chat.
Bro, it's out of control, bro.
Imagine
secondary at this point.
No, just imagine you're just tuning in now and like, what? Wait, I thought this was a basketball podcast.
Yo, that's funny. This is an all-time episode during the All-Star break. See how much fun we can have when we don't got to talk about the game. We don't have to go over what happened in the game. Yo, that's funny. Shout out to my boy Cook Carter. I gotta get back to the arena and check on you, Cook. Appreciate you, bro. One more voicemail, and then we're out of here.
Man, y'all gotta have me on more often, bro. Y'all ain't got no excuse. CJ showed this all-time episode.
Yo, you're welcome. I said to you messaged us on the gram, and I was like, I don't be checking these DMs on here. I barely check my own DMs. I'm like, of course I want to have you on the show. You should be a regular. You got a lot of insight, for real. All right, let's see. Last voicemail.
Hey, what's going on, Talking Nets? I feel good about the Kevin Ollie, being interim for the time period. I really think we're going to go on a run. I mean, maybe I'm just optimistic, but I don't know. There's something that Dennis Smith Jr. said earlier in the season about his game plan. I think he has a way of connecting with the players, and we're going to be in the playoffs. So what do you think?
Hey, it's time for optimism. We are playoffs. The reason you fire the coach in the halfway point of the season is to salvage the rest of the season. And I think they can make the play-in, make the playoffs, and we'll all be happy with that, considering all the L's we took early on. Yo, big thanks to CJ. CJ, tell people where they can find you and follow your work. You were great today.
Hey, y'all can find me on Instagram and Twitter at CJ Holmes 22. Do this again soon.
Yes, sir. Alex, you got anything else for the people, the good Nets world people, the Nets fans?
Let's hope for a good coach for once. Let's hope we, ride the ship. Let's hope we have a good end of the season and good vibes only.
I see y'all playoffs.
Yeah,
playoffs. You kidding me? Rahala said we cook, y'all. Like, let's not do that.
Hey,
remember, we are playoffs. That's the moniker, right? We are playoffs. Appreciate y'all. Subscribe, hit like, do all that good stuff on the way out. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We're talking Nets. I'll see y'all at the arena when I get back over there. I probably won't be over there till they win some games, and they're going on the road anyway. We'll get another episode up in a few days. Thanks for watching. Let's go, Nets. Let's go, Nets. Brooklyn.